shit.
Okay, the December meeting of the Board of Water Commissioners is called to order. Reading of the minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of our last meeting.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Hold off on the bills yet, they're still being audited. Cooper Lake improvements.
All right, well, we are winding down. The startup of the system for the water supply has been taking place for the last 2 weeks. I just got back from there about a half hour ago, maybe a little longer. So we're getting SCADA up and running in the next 2 days. The actuators are up and running. Valves, we just got a 12-meter calibrated, so for the most part, the system is fully operational. In terms of work since the last meeting, they've been doing some topsoil and preparing for the startup. So we're basically complete. That's really it. We have the ceremony on Friday at 3 o'clock. There'll be some things in the spring. They got to touch up some concrete, check the grass in the spring, check some of the grading on the roads, how they hold up. So the clay's still a little soft, so we'll have to come in and probably smooth some of those out. The only other potential piece that left is I've asked for a price to replace the screen chamber as well. That was not included in the project, but it should have been.
This is
We
the
should do
screen
it.
chamber
So it's the little red building at the end.
at the bottom of the
So that should,
overflow chute.
that should be replaced, and if we don't do it as part of this project, we're going to have to do it at some point
What
soon.
filter, screen chamber and cement?
So the water kind of flows through it, and there's like a grate that collects, things from, it doesn't let it pass into the pipe.
Big stuff,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
It's a core screen.
So, but the
the overflow goes down a chute that'll eventually go into the Sawkill. What's the stream? Sawkill.
Yeah.
And so just to prevent
Big.
like a tree or something or debris from coming in there.
But that piece is fine. So the problem is there's stairs that go down into this chamber, and the stairs are rotted away because there's constantly water in this building. So the stairs have holes in them. So we should probably have asked for like fiberglass stair replacement of some kind, and maybe a small building to replace the wood building there that leaks. So I don't know what that number is going to be. So I guess we'll see, and if it's reasonable, I'll bring it to the board. So
Maybe like a shed, like a prefab. Like
basically, yeah,
farm.
yeah, kind of, yeah. So just drop it on top of, cut the concrete big enough to make sure they can get the stairs and the grading on the bottom, so you have a platform to stand on. And that's all they really have to do there. So I'm not expecting it to be a big number, but when I get it, I'll let everybody know, and we'll go from there. So that's really the only other piece that could be done.
So who's all going up on Friday? You expect to meet maybe up there?
Planning to.
You're no, you and me. Okay. Okay, just, what's the elevation at now?
The elevation is 1102.8.9. So we got less than 3 feet to go.
So max is,
1105.6. So it is quite full. It'll be nice to see. It's as full as I've seen.
so should we rescind the,
That's on my list of things to do.
okay,
So we went back through and we looked at them, and for the drought alert, there was no motion. It was just, I was directed to issue a drought alert.
Okay.
So we had a motion for the emergency.
and we rescinded that or not?
That has been taken off, yes,
Right.
for a while.
I mean, that's,
The alert is still technically in place, so.
I mean, all that is basically sending out a public
It's
notice.
on the website, and I mean, I've
I
stopped
mean-
putting the reminders on Facebook, because the elevation has been
I
steady.
mean,
or rising.
that could be part of on Friday's ceremony, whatever public relations stuff we send out. We can send out saying.
Yeah, and I can put it on Facebook. I just need, I don't think I need a motion, because it wasn't a motion to put in
Okay.
place, but as long as everybody agrees with me taking the drought alert off, that's my plan, to take that off.
Yeah.
There's really no reason to have it. For this time of year, we're fuller than we typically would be. So.
Get more rain on Monday, right?
How
How much rain did you get?
Honestly, I
Don't
don't
know.
know how much we got up there.
We got a lot of rain on Sunday. Okay, You have a change order though also, right?
Yep. The change order we've been talking about for a while. There's, we agreed on 170, it was a cheap pile that we had to use for the coffer dam. And you'll see the contract price is the same, so basically the monies for some of the bid items for the Ashokan that we're not going to use were moved. So the total contract still remains the same.
Make a motion. Change order.
Any other discussion? So what do we actually start with contingency?
300,000.
Okay, so we're, with this, we're beyond that.
Yeah, so the original contingency is gone, but essentially we're moving the Ashokan monies to create like a secondary contingency, if you want to think of it that way.
Right, that. The 487, almost 488,000. Yeah, that right here, right?
Yeah, so essentially that will be moved into the
Down
top
in-
line and pay for that fee.
Okay, so it'll still leave us like 300,000 or so. There.
It's got a-
But yeah, so
For
no
the
other
grand
discussion?
opening, Right?
Hmm?
That's for the grand opening, the money left in contingency.
Yeah,
It's a lot of savoring of the
That'd be a lot
champagne.
of spend.
okay, those in favor of the change order? Opposed? Carried. Is there anything else under Cooper Lake?
Don't believe so.
Budget.
Yeah, it's what we had talked about last time, there really wasn't anything substantial that's happened since.
Mr. Noble, you take a chance to look at the,
Yes, I did.
okay. But you couldn't,
So really
I mean,
what
from the
we did
first draft to the second draft, it's like the revenues all of a sudden is getting made.
Well, yeah, I left them out in the original, so you can see
Yeah,
the gap.
so-
That's really the biggest change, I've added the rate increase, so you can see the balance of expense and income.
okay, so we need a motion to accept the budget, the proposed 2024 budget.
Make a motion.
Can I go have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, is there any further discussion on that? Okay, hearing or seeing none, those in favor,
Aye.
opposed? Carried, so the second one is I need a motion for a water rate increase of 5%.
Motion.
For rate increase of 5%, right? Okay, I got a motion, I got a second. Any other discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carried. Okay. Golden Hill.
Yeah, so we had touched on this before too, so it's an agreement that was sent to me by the developer. Basically, it states, everybody saw it, but that they're gonna undertake the improvements to the pump station that we're telling them are required to be able to supply them water if they're gonna be part of the Golden Hill Water District. They're gonna be increasing the usage of that system significantly, and we do not have automated pumps. There'll be automated pumps, updating the SCADA systems, and that'll be able to continue the water flow without us having to call somebody in every time they use water. And it gives us, we get approval of everything that they designed. After the work is done, we sign off on it. We got a year of warranty essentially, and we sign off on it again.
And you can, like what they're proposing,
Yeah, so it's,
like the building, I was like, what? And I asked my dad and my uncle. Some of the stuff I've never. Or like, this is a super Band-Aid and I think they're gonna need to do more of that building than what they're
it's,
proposing.
It is basically out of so they had paid us to have CDM Smith run the model and come up with proposals to make the system work.
Are you talking just about the roof repair?
Like the building itself,
So this is essentially the minimum of what we were requiring them to do to hook up. So yeah, is it the perfect situation? Probably not, but it allows the system to supply the water that they need, and we get newer infrastructure out of it. But in the future, if we have to do any other improvements to it, and this supplies one water district, and we could always look at the rates for that water district as well if we have to do further improvements.
so they're tied, this agreement, they're tied into any improvements.
Well, so that pump station puts the water into the west side standpipe, and that tank only supplies the Golden Hill Water District. So the only users on that are the county, this new developer, and the Golden Hill Nursing Home. So they have their own water system that's separate from the Kingston Water Department.
Well, they have their own water district.
Yes.
It's our water, their water, separate water district.
So they have their own reports that we do every month, and their own annual water quality that we put together for them. We run the system. So it's easy to separate out what they're using versus what the city of Kingston usually are using.
Does this system also serve the jail,
It does.
the new jail?
So
Yeah,
all
well,
the county buildings up there. So the jail. the
even
health
though
department,
the jail's across the.
Yeah.
That line runs under 32 then?
They ran a new line
From-
over and installed the jail. It runs under the boulevard.
Oh, and so the water that's to the transfer station,
They are not,
right, that's,
they're off the boulevard.
okay. Still understand why they just didn't, they're literally right next to
When they
each
built
other.
it, I don't know if there was a reasoning for it. They wanted to keep it within their own water. I don't know. I don't know when
Okay,
they
and
built that jail, but that's how they did it when they did it.
so the rates that we charge,
They currently pay the same rates, but if we ever had to do something that's only going to benefit that district, it would be easy to separate them out and create a new rate schedule, both administratively and keeping track of what the structure is what. It's very easily separated.
yeah,
But I guess I mean, if more improvements are needed to the building, are they on the hook for it, or they're gonna say, well, we did what we thought was necessary, now, like, we have to pay for it?
So like the tank, for example, that tank piece of system, and you've seen it, I mean, something at some point will have to be done with that tank. So what would my proposal to the board at the time, when the time comes, I guess, would be, we would pay for it, but whatever payment we have to make in terms of debt service, we can apply to a different rate schedule and apply just to their rates.
And they don't have any leverage to, that's, if the board adopts the new rate,
They want
Schedule.
water, yeah,
then they have to do
if
that.
that's what the rates are, then that's what the rates are.
well, we don't have a contract with them, so.
They wouldn't have any other way to get water.
Well, yeah, I understand, but I'm just, we're selling them water without a contract, correct? Well, there's an agreement to provide
And I have to-
services.
I have to read it closely to see exactly how it talks about water supply in there.
It's in the city.
It could very well have water supply written into it.
I don't know.
I don't know offhand. Just try to go read
It's
it.
in the city, I don't know if you need a contract, like the sale of water separately.
Yeah, every building is in
But
the
we're
city.
selling it, well,
Yeah.
If the town of Ulster has like 4 water districts, they don't all have the same rates.
but their water district has meets and bounds.
So ours technically.
Well, yeah, obviously, we have meets and bounds, it's basically the city,
Yeah, and Golden Hill is its own, you can
But-
separate Golden Hill easily too.
well, you can separate it
In terms
just
of
based
water
upon
supply, Not by.
the amount of water, the way the water is being delivered to them is.
For the infrastructure,
Like any other consumer in the city.
But it's not the water district, even though it's a water
it's
district.
got its own New York
I
State
don't
district.
think that- I think what you're saying a district, it's just with respect to who's going to maintain it, that those pipes and those, that,
Was a district in terms of New York State Health Department. They have their own numbers, their own reports, everything.
but they have to maintain everything. It's the same thing as we put it inside a building, they'd have to check. I don't see that you needed a separate. contract.
Well, I guess my concern is in the future, like Matt says, we want. There needs to be work done on the tank or other improvements,
That's within their purview.
well, it's our equipment though.
It's our tank. It only works, it only benefits them, so.
That's the question is, do we have the legal authority to charge them a different rate to pick up the infrastructure costs or improvements? Legally,
I don't see how it's different than the town of Ulster charging
2-3
different
million.
districts, different.
Fix the tank, so, you know, probably in the range of 2 or 3 million with that tank, whatever it's gonna be, whether it's gonna be recoating it. With repairs. I
Yeah,
remember
but-
that tank like yesterday going inside. In fact, that tank was collapsing inside and we ended up putting a concrete collar around it, reinforced and made the original stand column, vertical column right in the middle. We made it independent, but we reutilized the I-beam, but it was bending, it bowing.
yeah, but who paid for that
We
repair?
did,
The city did.
we did. back
Right,
then.
and so what Matt is suggesting though is future improvements. We can go back in and charge the county for those improvements, and I'm trying to find out legally,
Not directly, it's through the water rates.
well, through the water rates, but
Everybody.
if we don't have a contract, I mean. How do we go ahead and do that legally?
Question I really can't answer that. I would
And I guess my other
I
question
would
is,
think it was city property and you made the improvement within their distance, which they're supposed to maintain. You could bill them for that work.
Only then, and that's the rest of the general public. That's-
I mean, so that's a key question because if Matt's thinking that we can go ahead and charge them for infrastructure improvements. But legally, we
I mean,
don't have a method to do that, then,
in terms of the present with Golden Hill, the CDM report, this is basically what they said needed to be done, so that's what we told them, it had to be, it's all CDM's recommendations, so. I don't know, if we have really anything to say, like, you need to do this, this, and this, like, well, is this the best way to go about replacing that building? But this covers what, this report that we paid CDM to put together, so, and they're willing to pay for this and do this, in terms of the present day, I think we're covered.
I could formulate and reformulate, you know, Matt, to look at it tomorrow.
Yeah,
Just wanted to, I don't know what.
are you looking for the board's approval to sign this document?
I think I would need that.
I thought the document was well done. I thought one of the things that I liked about it is that everything in there is kind of subject to the superintendent's approval,
Mm-hmm.
which I think gives us the control over the overall control.
But the concern though is additional improvements,
I never addressed that with them. I don't know.
okay,
But I suppose that should be.
and we don't know if there's meets and bounds for this district, even though we do know what it serves, but there almost would have to be.
I mean, where the infrastructure is, where the meets and bounds are.
Well, so the tank, I guess my question is obviously the second tank, there's two tanks. Correct?
Correct.
One tank, the tank that's furthest up is on their property.
Yeah.
Within their meets and bounds. The first tank though is on our property. Or is that in,
No, it's not.
that's ours, so theoretically, there's a meets and bounds line that goes between their tank and our tank that delineates their district from our district.
Well, you think there should be a meets and bounds description of their district?
Well, I'm asking if there is one, because how do we determine,
What is that?
yeah, I mean, I'm assuming it was county property.
I
So-
thought that was addressed originally. I haven't seen that in years, but I guess kind of.
I mean, what did the county do when the county sold the infirmary to this private group? They must have modified some maps to subdivide out that piece of parcel.
I've never seen. I mean, that was never brought to us.
It's a planning board.
So I guess it's,
The planning board, you're right, the planning board city.
The
Kingston
planning
would have
board, yeah,
that.
they have to have.
well, I guess my question more is, what are the meets and bounds of the
Their district.
county, the Ulster County Water District, or whatever it's called?
And also to tighten up, if there are improvements to be made, are they gonna pay them?
or, yeah, who pays them, or. I mean, the biggest one, I guess, is, the biggest concern is our tank, that's on our property.
in the building, and what if this development never happens, and they agree to do this stuff and they just fail?
So we don't, the only reason these developments or improvements are needed is because their proposed water usage is basically doubling the usage of the system. So right now, the system doesn't need pumps. The system runs off of the gravity. So we don't need to have automated pumps in that right now. That's why we haven't, that hasn't been a priority for us, because it doesn't really.
I mean,
Golden Hill Water District doesn't need it, the water, Kingston Water Department doesn't need it, it runs off of bin water. So, but if they're gonna be up there and they're gonna be using all the water they're claiming they're gonna be using when they have it fully filled, then the concern is bin water not gonna be able to keep up. The gravity filling that tank, our tank, is not gonna be able to keep up with the demand of drawing the water out of there into the Golden Hill District. That's why we need pumps that will run, the tank is to a certain level, the pumps will turn on automatically. Because right now, we get a alarm saying the tank is dropping, we need to call somebody on overtime, they need to go
run up there
turn it on,
physically.
go home, come back 2-3 hours later to turn it back
off.
on. And that's not practical if they're gonna be doing that every single day, so we need something that says the tank is low, kick on.
But we know that tank,
But at some point in
Has to
time,
be
that
replaced.
tank is gonna be, I think, on our dime, our tank. I mean, I don't know,
They pay the same rate as Kingston, that district. There should be additional for that.
well, that's why I'm
Goes out.
suggesting that we have a contract with them, because it's a separate water district, even though it's wholly within the city of Kingston, it's a separate water district.
I thought that it was originally said years ago when they set that up, that's what I was always told, the way Judy had always explained it, that they had a defined district. I never saw those documents, so I don't know. But I think you're right, I think it can be clarified, at least the metes and bounds of what the district is. And in the event that there's any future improvements, who's gonna pay them?
Right, I mean, we have that separate agreement that where they pay us
To
50,000,
maintain their
how much they-
property, to maintain their-
$50,000 a year to
Oversee their.
oversee, because they don't have an operator, we use our operator, we do the monitoring.
Testing.
Right. Well, I guess there are two different issues. One is the issue about what do we do right now with this agreement. Then the second one, I think we really need to look into a little bit more.
Are you sure there wasn't an agreement? I thought there was a written agreement between the city and the county.
There is.
But that's just, that
I
written
think
agreement
there's
is,
more into it, that's what,
Okay.
I don't know it by heart, but there's more into it than just the maintaining. Or watching, so I have to read the whole thing.
okay, well, why don't you do some research on that and get back to us on that end? I don't know if it really,
It doesn't
does it
really
impact
at the moment.
this current agreement?
This is what we basically told them they would have to do. Out of
Other than the fact that we may or may not have that ability to charge them for future improvements on stuff that's,
they're using, it's our stuff, but they're the only user.
That's my argument.
well,
Why should,
All these other towns and cities do this for different water districts, so I don't know, I think we'll get that bridge, I guess, to cross it, but this is essentially what we asked them to do, start building, keeping them. Because I need to give the building department the okay from the water department that they can start the permit process. That was written into all the stuff in the beginning about the building department, that until I give Sue the okay, they don't get to move forward.
Well, you can approve the subject and provide meets and bounds and also an agreement with respect to the future maintenance.
Well,
Just so
this-
they get started.
But this is for the private contractor.
yeah, this is just the stuff that you reviewed there, and you have no issues
I didn't have any
with
issue
this
that.
agreement. Okay, well, yeah, we'll have to investigate that. I'd also like to increase the charge that we charge them for that other thing.
Is the nursing home included in this?
Yes,
So you need a separate agreement with the nursing home and with the camp, or is that within the same district?
I believe when the nurse home was sold, there was emails back and forth between the county and.
There's also a subdivision, new subdivision.
that's what
That's
this,
what
that's what this is.
Yeah, I know, but that's besides the county complex, is the subdivision. They're paying,
But
but that's all.
the subdivision is buying water theoretically from the Ulster County Water District.
Within, it's like a tenant subletting to the other.
But there's no reason why I don't know why we couldn't charge that water district a different rate than what we charge. Yeah,
we should, if we knowing that tank has to be replaced, we probably should increase
I will look, I'll look into it more,
Yeah.
but I don't see how it can be a problem. I mean, they do this all over the place. City happens to have one water district for the majority of its people, but lots of towns and cities don't have one water district and they all have different rate schedules, so.
Yeah,
When we get to that,
but they're all owned by the same municipality, even though they have different rates. And those rates are set up, again, I don't know what the legal term is, but where you take your infrastructure costs and
I mean, we have.
meld them into your water rates.
We have Rolling Meadows, they're not owned by they get the same rate as Town of Ulster does. That in terms of the water they buy from us, they're rolled into that, and then they do whatever they want over there.
Well, they hit them with like a big surcharge, so maybe should we look into that?
I think there's options over there that we can,
Rolling Meadows, we don't,
or it's not Rolling Meadows, it's,
outside acre.
yeah, they're essentially it's
And
the
then-
same people.
Yeah, it's all still Town of Ulster.
Yeah.
Part of Town of Ulster. Okay, so I guess we need a motion then to accept this agreement.
There's no downside to this, basically. This agreement is they're improving our infrastructure at no cost to us. So
And we get to say, and if it's done, and it's what we want.
I don't know the downside to it. Because it had that position in.
Make the motion to accept this proposal.
Have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Will this, by passing this, will this just put us in a bad position to negotiate an additional amendment to the agreement, or?
This is, we don't have any agreements with.
I don't think we have any.
They have to do the pump station upgrades, and then basically we're done with that.
You know,
Other than sending them a
Okay,
water
well,
bill.
but they have to, they're in that district, so we'll have to come back to them if we change it, right?
Yeah, but they don't really get a say.
They don't care.
That's where the water is tapped, they're part of that district. So they didn't like those rates, they have to find a way to get to the Kingston water district. But
who's that? Oh, this other.
Anybody in there.
Anybody.
they'd have to pay to upgrade the infrastructure to get to it from the boulevard or from Glen Street or Marion Street over there.
I mean, they just got some pretty big grants, didn't they?
Yeah, I think $15 million. So they're ready to move forward. This is what we told them they had to do at an absolute minimum to start moving forward. And this is what they drew up. Seems beneficial to the water department from where we stand.
But that just puts extra stress on what we have existing, right? Even with the new pumps, it's not gonna.
Well, the only thing that's of concern, the stress is on that whole tank that's there.
But the water in the
Which is
tank's
a-
not really changing. It's just gonna be able to fill up on its own.
More
without us
often,
having to go over
just more often, right?
The elevation of that tank is the exact elevation of any water. The picture in your mind at night just fills up by gravity. It's a 1 million gallon storage tank down for the city. It's the same elevation of any water. So it fills up almost like a U-tube by gravity, and that's it. It's a nice company to have something of that magnitude down there. It's an immediate 1 million gallons if you need it theoretically for professional. This is taken right from Vinnie water, it fills up. That's on. Except now with the drawer, that's why you need the pumps.
Yeah,
But they can't, that's the tank, they can't access the whole thing because of
Correct.
where.
Right.
where the pump
Where
station
it's-
is, right?
yes.
Well, it's where
Their pump station's too high to get the bottom half of the tank.
it's where they put their inlet or outlet.
So in the 70s or whenever that system was built, ideally, the pump station could have been 20 feet lower and none of this would be a problem.
I have one last question now, that new pump, that won't put any additional stress on the existing lines in the city pressure wise? You're gonna be drawing it out of the system now, is that gonna be able to?
Should be modeled it, CDM modeled it.
Yeah, this was, we'll see on
We should
recommendation.
include that, I
Two
mean,
pumps of
good
whatever
question,
size
Jim.
they are, but yeah.
Exactly,
Where is the
SCDM,
next
it's been modeled
pressure
now.
tank in relation to that area?
It's pressure tank.
That would maintain the city's pressure.
Well, where it's drawing from is the gravity system. So that pump station draws off the gravity system. It's not off of high pressure system. So it's basically pulling off of Vinnie water. But since that pump station for the county is higher than Vinnie water, there's not enough pressure for it
To
to
get
suck
up
the
there
water from
fast
where it
enough.
is. Yeah,
It's very similar to any of our pump stations that pump into other tanks,
yeah, they come from the gravity system.
right?
Then, so then the pump from our tank to the county's tank, that, the pump station is there to pump from our tank to the county's tank.
That's theirs. They have a separate pump. That's their responsibility.
Yeah, the pump stations would pull from our tank. So
And
the
sends
CDM
it to
model,
their tank,
yes, so they pull out of our tank into their system.
and that's the end of the system is on the county's tank.
Well, it's
I mean, it
their,
doesn't
it's
go
their
directly-
water district
it
and
goes
their
directly to the
equipment.
tank. It goes to this makes a big loop, so it kind of loops around and then it has the line that goes down to the jail. It's kind of the big circle, it goes, you know, up the hill to like 911, and it goes down through the old jail parking lot and down that hill to the nursing home, and then loops back around, down Golden Hill Drive or whatever that is.
I mean, there's other, I'm assuming there's other vacant land
At some point,
up
yes,
there
but-
within that undefined meets and bounds. That's the Ulster County land that Ulster County owns up there.
But the next time they do this, they're gonna try to do something very similar with, this is the system now and what needs to be improved again.
We definitely need to investigate what agreements we have or don't have with the county. Because I think that's crucial, especially if we want to start charging them for our infrastructure improvements.
And they're the only user, they're the only ones that are benefiting, so.
Right. I mean, we do them a benefit by charging, billing. And the question is, so who's gonna bill these units? How are these units, when they eventually build them? Who's
Yeah,
gonna do,
so when the plans come in, we'll ask for a master meter. I don't expect them to have, but they can sub meter themselves, or we haven't gotten that far into the plan.
right, I mean, right now. We're billing the nursing home.
Hmm.
As a separate, they have a separate meter. And then we have a meter that's where, at their pump station or at their tank? How do we
We don't bill for every drop of water that goes to the Golden Hill Water District. We bill off of the individual meters.
so they have meters at the jail and at all the various buildings up there?
I think that it's developed over Delaware Avenue, you know, that industrial complex over there by the church. I mean, the city water department did a lot of improvements on that in order to, you know, accommodate that. I don't think they paid for it. I think the city water department paid for that, am I right?
I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about? And they,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I can't even tell you, I was probably in office at the.
all that engineering that was done down at the bottom of the hill in order to.
Yeah, I think, is that under TR?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was, he had some deals that he made, that somebody up there was gonna pay for some of it and some of it came out of someplace else.
I don't think it any of it came from the tenant. I don't think they charged a different rate for that development that was in there. I think they're charged.
Right, but that's not a separate water district, that's just a separate,
Well, we'd say it's separate water. I think it's like a de facto water district. I don't think anybody's ever created a water district per se here.
No, it is. They have their own number. They have their own.
yeah, the New York State Health Department considers that to be a separate water district, just like,
I have to do extra paperwork for that every January for the annual water law.
We accomplished all that stuff with the development downtown because we were gaining a customer, we're getting water usage, we're getting income from that. But we don't charge them to any additional rates for that. I just wonder, I'm seeing an analogy between that development and the one in the county. That's the only thing that I don't have an answer for. It just
well, this actually works in our benefit for them being a separate district.
does, but whether you should be charged more or not, I don't know.
Well, at some point in time, I think we should investigate putting a master meter on, I don't know
There
where
is a
that,
master meter.
well, why don't we just then charge?
That's never how it's done. I don't know why it wasn't.
Well, that's also part of that then agreement is, or,
That's what they could say, well, yeah, you got a master meter there, but we're residents of the city of Kingston, we should be paying the city rates, not a different rate. I'm not
probably
saying we
cheaper
should.
for them though to pay master. Right?
Yeah,
Well, now with
never
the
done
amount of
that.
water they pull. Probably isn't much that difference, but. Okay, we kicked this can around enough, I guess.
We
So
will-
my-
Most of your questions then answered?
Matt's okay with it, I'm okay.
So good to sign this thing, is that what I got out of
I
that?
don't know, do you sign it or do I sign it?
Yeah, that's what happened.
Yes, beautiful. Yes, so those in favor,
Aye.
those opposed? Okay, carried. There's a lot more investigation you need to do though.
Yeah.
This district. Oh, our next favorite.
You wanna jump
We-
down, skip that one for now?
yeah, okay, right, because we talked about going to executive session. We down to correspondence, or can we bounce back up and do bills and accounts? Yes, bills and accounts,
I'll make a motion to accept.
Second.
okay, those in favor,
Aye.
opposed? Harry, thank you, gentlemen. You want to jump to,
Land
Land-
next.
land bank?
Yeah,
that's under correspondence,
yeah,
technically?
Sure.
Okay,
so everybody got the, so memo that the land bank sent me, and essentially, my position would be, we're selling them property, it's a commodity, it's not really a user fee, and I would say it doesn't apply to this. I don't see how they're any different than any other nonprofit in the city, and they all get charged for water. But you have the memo and the history. While the articles have changed, the language still exists in the New York State Constitution that, you cannot provide or record any money or property in aid of any individual, association, or corporation. So that's still in the state constitution. And that was from that letter from the 30s. So, in terms of a response, I don't know.
I'll draft a response to you. My feeling on this is that there was a letter from, I think, Hancock, Massachusetts, law firm representing the land bank, attached a copy of the state statute, which said that the municipalities are required to waive user fees for sewer use and some other fees. We don't have a user fee. We sell a product. And the reason that I asked Matt to attach the opinion from 1932 is water is deemed to be a product. You're providing a product and you are prohibited from providing that product free of charge to anyone by Department of Water Control. So, although it's a very good statute for the land bank, I don't see it applied to the water department. I think it should be paying, they should be charged to pay their fees for the product. It's like any other nonprofit.
And I don't think that Hancock, Estabrook had anything to do with the Kingston City Land Bank, because this memo was dated 2020. So I think the Kingston City Land Bank stumbled upon this somehow.
hmm,
I don't think this was written specifically for the Kingston City Land Bank,
You're right.
because it's
Yeah.
3 years old. I think they had to have their attorney, I can't think of his name anymore, they had their attorney that forwarded this to myself and the sewer department. So I don't think this was prepared specifically for the Kingston Land Bank, so I could be mistaken. But I think it's been 3 years, 4 years almost, so.
An opinion letter.
So, as long as everybody agrees with that.
It was sewer or the city.
I haven't gotten anything, we have not removed any charges from any of these accounts yet, so I don't know what the city is going to do in the end. So, but that's, I mean, if I get a letter, an email from them saying that they would like all sewer charges removed from these properties, then I would do it.
Sewer is different.
That doesn't really
Sewer is
apply
not
to us.
providing a product. The only reason they're billing through your meters is just convenient to them as to how they're going to arrive at a figure to what the charge is. They're not providing anything to the user. It's just a method to tax not the profits.
Does it go, they can't go back and say they want all their sewer charges removed.
I'm gonna.
Oh, that's what they're doing, they want money back, they don't want the charges removed, they want money back as well. They want a refund going back to them.
Who?
They'd have
The
to
land
get that
bank?
from the city though, not from us.
They want sewer and water back. It doesn't say in that memo, because that memo wasn't written specifically for Kingston.
yeah, that's my question was, well, attaches a memo sent from,
That they said, they forwarded me this memo saying that this memo states that they should be getting no water charges.
From
or
when,
sewer.
of the inception of the land bank.
Yeah,
Any sewer.
of the exception of this memo, when this memo was written,
So they want,
going back to when Kingston City Land Bank started, I think it was 21, I believe. They want all those charges returned to them. So,
our attorney's gonna write a response.
I believe so. As long as
Okay,
everybody agrees with the.
No one has a
water.
problem with us telling them that
Could we just say, well, instead of the refund, we'll just credit you your sewer charges until it's.
We're not gonna give them any refunds. We're not
I
gonna.
mean, the sewer
The
doesn't have anything to
city
do with us,
is
though.
going to though.
That's up to them, though.
Well, that's up to them. If they,
If they wanna cut them a check for sewer, they can cut them a check for sewer, and they can have us take charges off, but for water, I don't see any reason to do anything different for water.
we have a legal opinion from 1932 that says that we can't give anybody free water.
So that.
And we're basically telling the land bank that based upon that ruling and
So even if the city, it doesn't come out of.
No, if they
They'll
want the
come out-
charges removed, that doesn't affect us at all.
All right, we don't have to.
We
front
just
the
wouldn't,
money.
we just wouldn't put charges on the bills, and we wouldn't send them any money, so it doesn't affect the water department at all if they wanna do that. If they want a refund going back, that they would do that themselves, that had nothing to do with us either, so. As long
They
as,
can just start charging them for the buildings they've been giving them for free.
Sorry.
You know what I mean? It's,
so, it doesn't, as long as everybody agrees that they shouldn't be getting free water, then Bill can write something up and nothing else really has to be done.
And we don't give anyone free water, right?
right,
now, other than
The city,
the city, but we have other arrangements and agreements for transfer.
We're not,
That's for a discussion of another day.
we don't have to take any action on this.
Well, Bill's gonna write a letter basically telling him that you're not getting a refund from us
The board
because,
doesn't. need
we don't need an official
No.
motion, just a note that you're gonna respond to the.
But I'll give you the opinion in the next meeting, you'll say, you'll like, the board, assuming they agree with the opinion. That the board will notify the land banks, they, you know, respectfully disagree with your request, please read the payment.
they've been paying, right?
I don't know if they had any bills come up since this has reached me, so I'm sure next time they get a bill, they'll be calling me. But
Okay. I mean, how many properties do they have?
5 or 6 maybe.
We don't have a lot of problems with the city.
And who actually occupies these buildings? Are they, any of them
I'll be under
occupied?
construction,
Yeah, I
then they
think it's-
sell them out, they sell them.
Yeah,
Okay, so once they sell them, they're selling them to a private individual, and that individual will come in and open an account with us.
Right.
But how much water is actually being used
I mean.
in the meantime? Are they just getting the
they're-
minimum?
So a lot of them are probably minimums, but. They can also have leaks and issues, they're not, you know, the best conditions houses, so.
Yeah, they're probably not winterized or anything.
Yeah.
And well, the easy answer is, no, we're not gonna give you a refund. No, you have
We
to
have
pay
the same,
for,
we have the same problem when the city takes over the properties for non-payment of taxes. And there's a meter in the property and the bill has not been paid. Then the city goes out and they ultimately they'll sell that property. I mean, fortunately, when soon as the water department finds out that it's been foreclosed upon for taxes, they can go in and take the meter out of the property.
Right.
But what happens to all those charges that came up to that?
well, it goes back on their tax bill.
Yeah,
that
the
they
council
should-
votes for it
there
every
should be no
year.
taxes.
Huh?
Those people are gone. The city.
Yeah, but the next person who wants to buy that property is gonna have to. Well, that's their problem over there. We get reimbursed for our. I thought we did.
Yeah, you do. For foreclosed properties. Am I right?
I thought we got reimbursed for all of our
Typically,
un-
yes.
Bill,
unpaid
every
water,
year at the end of the year, we sign off on all the bills.
unpaid water bills.
To pay, to make the water department whole.
Not on tax foreclosed properties, I don't think.
Yeah, every property, especially if we own the property, because we've taken it, then we're definitely liable to pay it.
There's been charges removed before recently, but for the most part, we get it back. But there was a couple last year where we didn't.
I know we had a problem with that for years. Hope it can be resolved.
Well, Mr. Cluno will write up a response.
Yes.
Okay. Where next?
How about the rules and regs
Rules and regs.
/ cross connection / ADU?
Did everybody get a chance to look through all that?
I wanted this,
This is, well, there's a couple things. One is there's a proposed policy on accessory dwelling units.
yes,
And then as a result of that, there's some modifications to our rules and regulations.
was there like a meeting to generate the policy change or the policy or anything?
Which one specifically?
The auxiliary unit one.
Well, I've had meetings with the departments around the city
Oh, okay.
and I've researched other policies around and. This would cover
All this
us.
basically came from Matt.
Yeah,
the
ADU
board.
yeah, but-
No, we didn't have
The board
there
had
wasn't a
that.
committee,
okay.
there wasn't a committee. Now, I don't know if you want to have a committee formed and looked at it and.
I mean,
Right,
I don't know,
I-
I mean. Seems a big deal to me, I don't know, I mean, as far as. They can make another line to anywhere and, you know. You're all right, I mean, I tried to read it, but, I think. As long as they go get a permit, they can do whatever. I mean, can you
Well-
break that down policy. Real
So I
quick?
mean, it would. We'd have to review it. They can't just do whatever. We
Okay,
need to review it, but basically right now. You have a house, you have a garage. The rules say
you can't,
you
you
need
have
to
to
have a new
separate,
tap for that garage. You
Right.
have to, they're 3 feet apart from each other. If they're separate structures, you need separate taps.
Mhm.
This would allow them with approval. To branch off of the house and run a line to the garage, as long as that garage is approved to be an ADU by the city of Kingston. Not just a garage that they wanna put some.
And it's on the same tax parcel.
And it has to be on the same parcel, because we can't have lines
Hmm.
crossing. SBL, and I've checked the ADU language that the city has approved, it states that it has to be on a parcel. So that is currently in there as well, so it covers that piece.
You want to table this until we have an opportunity to,
I don't know, I'll probably never be in favor of this, but. But, you know, I'm only.
well, the city's already approved this ADU
Yes,
policy or law or regulation. So our question really is how do we address it?
I don't know, do they supersede the water board or the water department?
No, I guess we're just trying to be consistent with what their thoughts are. I don't really know what their thoughts are, I guess, either. I mean, do we have a copy of their policy or law? They generated?
Basically, the zoning, I don't know if there's a separate policy like this.
Why did they change? Why did they have to change this? Is there a reason?
Think they
Because
were.
it was never allowed. They had to have
There's,
1 meter, 1 property, and you know, now they want 1 meter. don't know,
Well, I think what they're doing is they're trying to support
from an
people.
apartment, dwelling,
Multi-family.
in your attic, in the garage, in the basement.
there's a
whatever.
housing crisis in the city of Kingston. And they're doing this to incentivize homeowners that want to build accessory dwelling units on their properties to go ahead and do so. So they're doing various things as forms of tax breaks, et cetera, to do this. To help with the housing crisis.
So the city's already,
Yeah, but I thought the city wants to get rid of private homeownership in general and go to no single family units.
That's part of it.
Well, that's a problem. I mean, I have a problem with that.
so I guess the question really is, right now, our regulations say that if somebody takes a garage, like Matt says, and converts it into an apartment dwelling, we're gonna require them to run a whole new tap to that new dwelling unit? Or are we gonna allow them to tap off their water service that's existing to that home?
That's really no different than, I mean, in years past, I remember that problem always came up. We had 1 meter, all this does is allow them to have a separate meter with a separate line going to that additional ADU. That's all.
Well, you don't even need a meter, you just need a line, right?
And it's gonna
Well,
require.
if the guy owns the building and he's renting out the auxiliary unit, he doesn't care, he'll just put it in whatever the.
Right, well, this will allow, right now, they're not allowed.
Yeah, 1 meter, the front of the, you go to my garage, I have a, outlet in my garage or a toilet in my garage. I have 1 meter that's coming off that, right?
Well, if your garage isn't attached to your house, you shouldn't have water in it, right? Essentially.
I have a hose pit there. It doesn't work, but I mean, there was a hose in my
He's in violation of water regulations.
Is that on tape?
As your attorney, I advise you to,
It's not, but it's not an ADU, it's not an accessory dwelling.
but even before the
But we'll say
ADU was,
One structure, one tap.
One structure, one that.
that's what our rules say right now.
We can stick with that, that's what the board position is.
ADU, it's a separate structure. So, and that's where you want to have the separate line, right?
But you could still have a separate garage, that's not an ADU.
So this, now they've created the ADU, and they're saying if you're gonna have that, all this does is, says that he can say, before you are gonna do this, you have to put a separate line in.
No, we're saying that you can tap off.
Or you can tap off.
But you need a backflow and you need a separate meter if you're not gonna have it come out of the main house. So,
And it's all with your permission, right?
yeah, it says, will be reviewed by the superintendent. Any ADUs that are detached from the main building are required to submit an application for water
You wanna
service.
take
And they
more
did
time?
away with parking also, so you could have a garage and 3 cars there, 3 cars for your house, you know, so you'd have 6 cars parking.
But that's not our concern. Our
I
concern
know, but
is
I'm
what-
just saying it all time.
Our concern is what are we gonna, our code, our rules and regulations didn't address ADUs.
Right.
And now it's a new existence, and so now we're kind of forced to deal with how we're gonna what we're gonna do or allow to occur.
Now they have to come to him, and they didn't have to before they used to.
Well, no, technically, if they wanted to
built
run
before.
any line to a separate building, they need to come to us and they had to run a separate
They would have to dig-
line
In the past, they would have to dig the street up.
with a new
Currently,
meter and a
they
new
have to dig the
tap.
Straight up currently, and do it that way.
Our regulations basically said one building, one line, one building. You got more than one building, you need to run another tap right
Was the
now.
building defined as a garage or an ADU? They didn't even have ADUs back then,
It just says structure. So,
Structure.
structure.
but this, I don't know, if we have something in writing with these ADUs, I can give this to the building department anytime somebody comes for an ADU. This can be given to them and they can say, before you do anything, your water needs to be sorted out with the water department. And we have something we can give to them and say, you have to do one of these 3 things, either a new tap,
That's what I
two
thought.
two
this
meters,
did.
or you need to put in a backflow and split it off the house. One of these 3 things need to be done, we need to see it, we need to sign off on it, and we need to follow these
If
regulations.
nothing else, I think this clarifies what it should be. This gives you something to work. with.
Right now, there's really no, it's just a separate structure, you need a tap, there's really nothing to address specifically ADUs. So that was my goal, is to try to get something, and if this doesn't work, then we can change this, I want something in writing for ADUs specifically, so I can give it to somebody.
So where do we require the cross connection device?
That's in the other policy.
I think it's after the curb box.
Well, that's a separate account, a new meter.
Well, so in the other policy that I made the edit of accessory dwelling units, I have shared meter with the main property.
So, but shouldn't we, on a shared meter for the primary structure in an ADU, we're gonna require cross,
I mean, I can write that in there, I had at the top that they must ensure compliance with the cross connection policy, but I can write that.
yeah, it'd be helpful to put it up there on that first,
Yeah,
first option.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't specifically say, and then you're kind of catching them later on at the end, but because the other ones are just all separate accounts. Right?
yeah,
You got 3 options?
Depending on the scenario, those could potentially require cross connection, depending on what they're doing.
Also, yeah,
That's why I kind of had to catch all, you must comply with the policy, because you got an ADU with a sprinkler system in it, theoretically.
okay, so I guess the
Or with
question
fire
is,
protection, or. I don't know, if you have it going commercial, I don't know, I'm not that familiar with the
is
policy.
everyone comfortable with this, or what do you want to do?
I mean, I'm comfortable with it. I'm not really sure like what, like all the concerns, I think this is just to address when these things come up, that we have something. What are, like, what are your concerns? Anyone else have some concerns?
You know, like, how many ADUs do we currently have, like, now that this is a,
I don't know if there's any actually out there. I don't know, in terms of.
Well, this was just passed recently, wasn't it?
Any new ones.
Yeah, this is
I mean, so, I mean,
You know, our neighbor.
they've made the regulation that allows them to occur, so if someone needs to, I guess, come into the city, to the building department and say, I wanna,
We've had meetings on several properties where we're considering doing it, but I don't know if there's any actually out there yet.
no one's filed a building permit to develop one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the process in terms of permits, but I know the meetings with, sewer and building and water, and just in terms of this is what we have here, and so.
Oh, yeah, I mean, sewer's not.
And then
our
they talk about
concern.
water, and it's like, well, currently it says this, there's no policy specific for ADU, that's kind of what we do at these
It
meetings.
gives you something to work with at least now that you don't have.
Mhm.
That's what you should have. I mean, you have to modify it.
We can modify it in the future. I think we should probably, if we could talk about it some more and modify it and see problems with it.
I mean, the meetings it seems to be picking up now that this has been out there for a few months, so.
Well, they
gonna be-
just passed the zoning code, so
Yeah, so
that,
it's gonna become
Yeah.
more of an issue in terms of people wanting to do this and wanting answers for how they're gonna supply water to these buildings. So I want something, what it says, we can discuss further, but I want something in writing so we can point to it, say, give us your plumber, this is what he needs to do, he needs to come talk to us.
that has everything you think you need in here. To be able to
Yeah.
check on it, control it, whatever.
Yeah, Ryan and I talked about this,
so this is just a starting point, because we have no policy, because an ADU wasn't a thing.
it
until
wasn't a
They
thing
made it
until
a thing. over
6
there.
months ago, 5 months ago, when they started, I mean, when it was actually approved, I don't know exactly, but it's very new.
So you're gonna add something about cross connections
I
on
can add it
on
to
the
the
first,
shared
on that first, on the shared
Must
meter.
install cross connection.
And up on the beginning where you talk about on the parcel for the main property, is there something else? I mean, same tax parcel? I mean, what is
Got
our,
that language from other ADU policies that are out
Okay.
there, that's kind of,
that's where it came from?
yeah, they're calling it the main building, like the house.
What
But
others-
It's not necessarily a house, I guess.
What
it could
other
be any-
municipalities in New York State have this ADU?
I don't think I found any other ones in New York. I talked to the Newburgh water superintendent, this is coming to him, they haven't actually gotten there yet, but they're working on something, so this is.
How do we specify that in our regs about the,
Yes,
Yeah,
my
language.
hesitation is just, and I guess this doesn't
16.
apply to just the water. I mean, just if the city's gonna slide towards trying to do away with single family housing, and
That's only if people choose to. Well, I mean, it's not, I don't think that it's your choice. Like, not everybody's gonna go towards ADUs, right? Who can even, some people can't even afford it. Don't you think so?
The developers will come in, if they can buy a parcel and say, hey,
Oh,
I can get
you
3
mean, so
apartments.
If they'll take your, like, buy my house, and then they're going to put up whatever, how many they want to.
or knock a house down, and then it's a bunch of
I see what you
ADUs.
mean.
I mean, I don't know, I know it's a like nationwide thing, is this push towards
Affordable.
doing
housing.
away with single family and everything being a multi-use, or any new development is all multi-uses,
And like residential neighborhoods would be like,
Yeah, I know, or taking a piece of property that has enough land that you could build a couple houses on it instead. Things like that. Yeah, I mean, I understand that. Yeah, I didn't think about the fact that developers would come in and buy someone's property, and then do it. And then like put up multiple units, but I should have, because that's what goes on in Rockland County all the time. Yeah.
but is that an
I mean, I guess. if we don't
accessory
have a
dwelling
policy,
unit? How is, I guess,
We need a policy, so.
I would like a policy
Yeah,
for my
yeah.
benefit and the distribution benefit, and so I have something to point to give Ryan, when we go to these meetings, or if we go to the meetings together, this is what we have, this is the board's position, this is what I need to enforce.
is there a definition for an ADU the city has?
How
I'm
large
sure
it could
there
be or anything, I wonder.
Don't know that.
there is, it's not in here, but there is.
I mean, there's gotta be
I mean,
a
I was going
definition
off
of an
of-
ADU.
I need something from the building department telling me it's an ADU. That's kind of where I was going with, so if they tell me it's an ADU, then it's an ADU.
Yeah,
I don't
so
remember.
even if we agree or disagree with having ADUs, we do have to have something in place to
You're the
address them,
utility,
yeah,
you're not the.
Yeah.
municipality,
yeah.
you're just the utility.
I mean, cause. I don't think someone can come in and buy a piece of property and put up 3 houses.
I don't know.
I don't know if
That's
that's,
what
well, that's why I guess one of my questions,
But that's.
Residential living unit on the same parcel as a single family dwelling or parcel on which a single family dwelling may be constructed. Provides complete independent living facilities for 1 or more persons, may take various forms, a detached unit, a unit that is part of an accessory structure such as a detached garage or a unit that is part of. an
I guess it-
expanded or
I guess it's-
remodeled dwelling. That's the
So
city of
it's
Kingston.
basically a workaround zoning, you don't get the zone changed, but you can just put up ADUs, so it's a single family.
I guess it doesn't
house.
matter to us as long as
If the building
we're
department-
selling water and we're protecting our water system from
He
contamination.
has to have something to work with, he
Mhm.
doesn't define what an ADU
Yeah,
is.
Yeah.
if building department tells me they're putting an ADU on this property, I just need to know what I can do, and
Okay.
can't do with water supply. That's all.
Something in
If
writing.
you can find something other than main,
So where's the
Property.
backflow preventer go for the auxiliary unit? That
It would have to
is
go with the, by the meter. So it would be for the whole,
For both of them, but the other one in the house could be susceptible, all right?
But that's their problem.
Contamination from the other.
Yeah, I mean, that's, they don't have any internal protection, but that's how all these, all. of our
we're protecting our water
projects-
system, that's all we're concerned about. I mean, you could have a multi-story building and the second floor is gonna get contamination from the 3rd floor. But that's not our concern if there's an internal contamination, as long as our water system is protected of the contamination not going back out to other users or into our distribution system, so.
But we also could modify this policy and require.
Yeah, we could modify it anytime we want, it's just a policy.
That's its own meter, then it'd be the customer.
Well, that option is there, there's 3 options.
So that main building, main structure is what they use in the city of Kingston. So that's what they call it, main building, main structure. I mean, we can change it, but that's where that language is from.
Okay, so you need a motion to accept this policy.
I'll make that motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay, any other further discussion? Okay, those in favor?
Wait, Jim, that says it's a.
I'm voting no.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Hey, yay, no,
That's an opposed?
that's an opposed.
Okay. Okay, then we also have, the rules and regs and the cross connection policy.
Yes, I mean, I would do. Maybe we should look at the rules and regs first, cross connection as is would only apply to the rules and regs. But basically section 24.
Well, the modifications of the rules and regs are on section 16, there's
Yeah, there's a.
added about or compliance with accessory dwelling use.
Yep.
And then it's section 24 under fire protection. So how is commercial properties defined? Is that
The zoning does,
it's not defined by our regulations don't have a definition of commercial?
I believe so.
Again, I don't want to,
We have. The zoning or assessors and we can see what buildings are for the commercial or residential. That's how we determine who we send back to. Cross connection letters too.
I've always had some issues about, our cross connection control policy, to be honest. I'd like to take another look at that. I mean, I don't think we're gonna be in a position that any of this is occurring between now and next meeting, right?
I mean, this is something that comes up more often than ADUs does. It's in terms of.
Well, the
fire.
sprinkler system thing, that's what you're talking about, the fire protection sprinkler system.
Yeah.
Do you have a chance to look at that, fire protection?
Mhm. I have no problem with that.
Okay. My only question is commercial properties, where that's defined? In our regs,
I mean, I think that's kind of similar to we don't define ADUs, the city defines commercial and residential. But Bill has a different opinion.
Do you have any input from the building safety, plumbing, fire?
Just, we had that meeting like a year ago.
Would anybody come back to you?
No, it's kind of why I
It's the
put
dot-
this.
yeah, that's why-
Yeah, sure. I kind of
Okay.
took it into my, to put something in
Do you
front of the
attend that
board to
meeting or
look
not?
at,
Yeah, okay, it was you, me and Matt, and,
and the plumbing.
Plumbing
inspector,
inspector.
We're gonna get back.
Members.
yeah, and then it just
Building
died.
department, building director, fire department, and nothing happens. I want to put something in front of the board, and if it doesn't work, then we can talk about changing it, but. It's been, I want to say almost a year since we've been.
And again, these things are just a
It's,
board's, I mean, if we wanted to change something a month or two from now. Just
Yep.
make another modification and put it up for. A motion and approval, right?
Right, you just have you have to have something to work from now in writing.
Okay, so the rules and changes to the rules and regs, need a motion to accept.
Motion. Second.
Any further discussion? You're fine with this, Mr. Noble,
Yes,
our expert plumber,
well, we never had anything, and that's how we got in trouble last time, right?
okay?
so this is basically, it takes our practice that we would, and it puts it, it's clear, it's
Right.
more defined for other people. So,
This might be a legal thing, but between A and B, it's either. Maybe put an or. On 24,
After,
between A and B, you
after
know,
domestic line,
or have a dedicated fire protection line tapped at water main.
yep,
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And then the last thing is the cross connection control.
basically adding in those two bullets for sprinklers and ADUs. So we have fire suppression, but not sprinkler listed. We have lawn sprinklers, but not. I guess I could.
Where is
I
the
can
fire
clarify that.
suppression? Oh, right
Number
there, at number 8, okay.
I mean, I could reorder, I could make ADUs 6 and. Building sprinkler systems instead of lawn sprinkler systems.
I don't know if this is in here or in the regs. So anybody that has. Again, a commercial property. When do these regs kick in?
2019,
Huh?
2019.
No, but what are the factors that require a cross connection device?
Auxiliary water, commercial, multifamily, 3 or more. It's
Okay,
usually commercial or multifamily. Those are typically
right,
what we see.
okay. So when you say, this, I guess, goes back to commercial. So a lawyer's office is commercial?
So to me, if the building, if the assessor is telling me it's commercial, it's kind of, I see it the same as ADUs. I don't define if that's an ADU or a garage. I don't define if it's commercial or residential.
What it's used for, I mean, that'll be defined as what it's used for. Your answer, yes, a lawyer's office, yeah, that would be included.
So we've had, an example, we've had buildings come across where we've had them, we've seen they're commercial. We've sent them a letter saying they need backlog. They call us and saying it's a single family house. They call next door, they get it straightened out, single family house, they don't need to do it anymore.
Right, yeah, I understand that, but I
'Cause
guess
they're giving us the definition of if it's a commercial property.
you go uptown and all those buildings uptown. 90% of them are lawyers' offices or commercial properties. All those have,
There's 2 drawers worth of backwards in that room over there.
okay, just,
That's how it's zoned by city hall or zoning department or building.
Whoever, I don't know exactly.
I just, to me, I'm just trying to see the hazard.
I think there's water systems out there that require backflows on every connection. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some out there that have some kind of protection on all. But I don't have an example at the moment. But
I guess I don't see a lawyer's office as being any more hazardous than a single family dwelling. Or a multi-family, two units. I'm just trying to see where the hazard is. To the water system of requiring that extra device and having an annual inspection. That's, I guess. I mean, I think it's over regulatory, but. It's I guess my own personal opinion. So. I'll entertain a motion, I guess, to accept changes to the cross connection control policy.
Make a motion to accept it.
Can I have a second? Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. What else you got on our agenda here? Okay. Okay,
One more thing.
a recommendation to promote Benjamin Nerone to water maintenance assistant.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Superintendent's report? Any issues, any questions? Not, I'll entertain a motion to accept. Second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? November was pretty dry month compared to everything else, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, see if we have another July like that, it's still insane. It's a
Okay,
45, right?
we have one item.
45 was the second.
I know I lost, I
Something like
forget
that.
what it was.
Motion to go into executive session to discuss a contractual issue.
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, an executive session. Come out. I guess we're,
Second, motion out.
Let's kept it a motion.
Second.
I'm giving them motion.
you first. Is that Mike? Yep, I'm out. Okay, we're out of executive session. I can make this motion, I guess. I need no, I'll make the motion, then need a second. To direct the superintendent to notify the town of Ulster and I Park 87. You terminate water service to I Park 87. On January 11th. Due to unpaid water bill, if the water bill is not paid in full.
I'll second it.
And to notify the town of Ulster of such action.
I got a motion, I got a second from Joanne. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I also noticed reading through the rules and regs that a registration of water wells goes into effect
That's not going very well.
January. Well, I was gonna, that's the person I was gonna ask. Anybody register their wells yet? Have we notified?
It's not easy to get. Yeah, that's not working out very well, but we have it there.
Is there a way that we can improve somehow at working that out since we went through that?
Yeah, it's on my board upstairs, so continue thinking about that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's-
have we sent a letter out to the ones we know of?
Yeah,
I mean, would you send something to the health department?
they want nothing to do with it. They didn't want to help with the regulation.
Really? Well, maybe I need to call or visit. What's his name? Mr. Rose. I doubt he's.
Their responsibility is written into our regulations, that's why we didn't have anything, so that was his, basically our firm's responses.
Yeah, but now we do. Now we want you
Yeah,
to get it out that we have.
Yeah, but that's our regulation that we're responsible for enforcing, not.
You never, the health department never comes in the city of Kingston and have check in.
Yeah, not Friday.
Yeah, but they can't enforce our regulations. They can only enforce the state regulations or their county regulations. I mean, there might be a
Let
county.
us know.
Still on the agenda of things to do, but yeah.
Okay,
How many wells are there in the city? A handful or a few dozen or?
Probably not a ton, but they're out there.
Well,
We
there's a
don't know what's
list,
the problem.
someone has a list someplace, right? They're written down someplace. Can we start developing a list? I know there's a couple on your block. You can go start knocking on doors.
Jim's gonna keep over-
I know one down, I know one that has one down on your block.
Robbie.
They went to the.
No, that's,
He's an attorney, so he'd probably be a good one to get. He can tell right away.
that's, Brian Smith.
Oh, yeah.
He just put his in, so, nothing else? Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Bye.
Okay, opposed? I can't imagine. Thank you, everyone.